Welcome back, everyone. We're here today with episode 2425 of the Cabral Concept. This is our Motivation and Mindset Monday. Can't wait to talk with you about a little bit of a blend between inspiration, motivation, and the mindset in order to improve your overall health. I truly believe that everyone, no matter where they're at in life, stands to be able to improve, to better themselves in some way when it comes to their body, their wellness, their aging. And the reason why I implore you to look into this is that oftentimes when we're in our 60s, 70s, 80s, or beyond, we're like, oh, if only I ate a little bit healthier, if only I drank a little bit less, if only I moved my body a little bit more. But the truth is that you don't need to do a remarkable and extraordinary amount of work in order to improve your overall health. What really matters is, what are you doing on a daily basis, right? So there's a lot of people that go all in for 7 days. They go all in for 3 weeks. They go all in for maybe even 3 months. And then after that, no, it's going back to the lifestyle before. So my issue is that, okay, I'm all about a 21-day, a like quick start-based program, but it needs to be followed then by something that is sustainable. Because I want to share with you something out of Stanford University. Probably heard of Stanford University, very prestigious university, great research-based school. Okay, according to researchers out of Stanford University, the body replaces itself with a largely new set of cells every 7 to 10 years. And most of our most important parts are revamped even more rapidly. Let me go on. I'll share with you one more sentence. Essentially, the vast majority of what makes you, you changes every 90 to 120 days. Now, keep that in mind. Every 3 to 4 months, the majority of you is renewed. Here's why. Your body mass is about 1/3 of all of your cells. So we're looking at fluid outside of your cells, such as your plasma, solids, calcium of the bones. So that's about 1/3, okay? The remaining 2/3 is made up of roughly 30 trillion human cells. And 72% of those, by mass, are fat and muscle. And they last an average of 12 to 20 years. So think about it. Your fat and your muscle are with you for the majority of your life. And that makes sense, right? Your muscle, we need that, right? Those muscles are constantly being regenerated. That's part of it if we're exercising. And fat is used as a storage unit. But fat can be oxidized or lyophilized, and it can be broken down at any point. But you still maintain the cell. It's just the cell is not as big. It's not as inflated, right, for that adipose tissue. So that makes sense. But almost everything else turns over much, much faster. Let me share with you just one or two more sentences. By far, the tiny cells in our blood, which live only 3 to 120 days, and the lining of our gut, which typically lives less than a week, makes up the majority of our body. About 330 billion cells are replaced daily, equivalent to about 1% of all of our cells. So that's why you can see within a year, we're almost completely renewed. In 80 to 120 days, 30 trillion have been replenished, the equivalent of a new you. Let me repeat that. In 80 to 100 days, 30 trillion cells will have been replenished, the equivalent of a new you. So that's why I share with people, and I've seen this in my own life when I was in my own healing process, that if you can commit to 12 weeks, not 12 years, okay? 12 weeks. If you can commit to 3 months, 90 days, 12 weeks, however you want to look at it, you can radically change anything in your life, and that includes your health. So when I work with people and my team works with people with autoimmune issues and migraines and hormonal imbalances and menstrual cycle dysregularity and low T and all these different things, they say, how quick before I'm well? And I always say, my team knows to say, we don't know the timetable that your body is on. But what we can tell you is that most people are remarkably better within 3 to 4 months. That's 12 to 16 weeks. Now, some people want to hear that they're better in 12 to 16 days. I totally get it. I looked for that for a decade of my life. Didn't happen. Sometimes I felt remarkably better in a week, and then I relapsed a couple weeks later. What we want is progressive health. That means, and I've shared this with many people, especially those with autoimmune issues or myalgic encephalomyelitis, which is basically flu-like symptoms all day long, every day, every week. It is miserable. I had that. And you're a walking zombie. You really are. So what do I tell those clients? I say, I want you 10% better every single month. That's what I want. I'm not looking to hit a grand slam the first month. You might. Let's not put the nocebo effect in your head. But I know that by the end of those 10 months, you're 100% better. But you have to understand this, and let's all keep this in mind. When you've been sick for a while and you get 30% better, you're like, whoa, I never knew I could feel so good, right? But you don't even know what true health can feel like. If you're not waking up every day with boundless energy without caffeine, you're not at your peak. You're not. If you need caffeine, you are not at your peak. If you don't have ambition, if you don't have drive, if you don't have the strength, endurance, libido, all the things that a healthy body should have, if you don't have those things, you don't have optimal health. Now, again, I'm not saying anything negative to you because I want these things for you. You can achieve them. And when we start to look at how amazing the human body is, that it essentially regenerates itself every 3 to 4 months, well, that should give you hope. That should allow you to say that if you are doing the right things and you are walking the path, how often? Every day. If you're walking the path every day, you're walking the path towards greater health. And you might say, well, I've been doing things. Yes, you have. I was doing things too for 10 years. You might not be on the exact path you need to be, but guess what? You are making progress. It might just take a little longer. If you don't have all the different keys and all the different variables figured out, yeah, it can take a little bit longer, but that's okay because you're learning along the way. I learned along the way. And then when I met my mentor, I was ready. I said, oh, that's kind of like this, kind of like this, kind of like this. It wasn't difficult for me to implement all the things she told me. Now, if I had met her 10 years before, would have I even listened? Maybe, maybe not. Would I have been overwhelmed? Maybe. Would I have thought that, oh, she doesn't really know what she's talking about? Maybe. A lot of people do. They work with a health practitioner, you're like, this doesn't make sense. This doesn't make sense because I've been following a carnivore diet and been doing great. So this person is telling me to eat vegetables. This obviously doesn't make any sense because of plant toxins, et cetera, right? Like they start working through all of the different dogmas. And that's why you may not even be ready, right? But you need to continue to work the path. And what you're on right now and moving forward is always better than not. And that's why I just try to really, I implore people to take daily action because you don't necessarily know yet what the right action is to take, but you're going to figure out what the wrong actions are. They're not going to work for you or they're going to stop working. And then what my advice is to take what did work and begin to bring that forward so you don't just throw it all out. Like a lot of people go on a low carb diet to lose weight. Okay, nothing wrong with that. The problem was they planned on doing that for the rest of their life. That's not going to work, right? Okay, low carb diet for 21 days. I can get behind that. But what's your plan after that? Before you shut down your thyroid, right? Before you literally increase fight or flight and sympathetic nervous system dominance and lose muscle mass, like why don't we have a plan? Okay, 21 days, I'm good with that. But then how do we transition off that low carb diet so that you don't put yourself in a hormonal disruptive space? So my idea obviously is always to go into it with a plan. Don't take action for no reason at all, just because a friend told you to do it. Take action because it's based on a plan. Because at least you know if the plan stops working, why did it stop working? Did I change a variable? Was it the plan? Or was it the plan that was good for a finite period of time? It was kind of a short-term fix, but it didn't have a mid and long-term based agenda. That's what really you need, but that's okay. Because over that 12 weeks, you'll have already gone through your maybe 3 weeks of lower carb or 3 weeks functional medicine detox or whatever it might be. And then you're going to say, okay, this is the next step. And you're going to learn along the way. So the learning is so important. Why? Because it's an accumulation of knowledge that ultimately gets you to where you want to be. What's the accumulation of knowledge? It's essentially doing things, not getting them right, encountering obstacles and challenges, saying, oh, I need to do this differently, and doing things differently, right? It's not a straight shot. People might begin a protocol and they're like, oh, it was working, then it stopped working. Well, what did you do? Did you just stop? And they're like, yeah, I just stopped because it stopped working. All that was most likely needed was a couple, 1 or 2 tweaks. Did you reach back out to your practitioner? If the answer is no, like, well, how can they help you then? They didn't know. I've had people in my own practice that I've talked to, and they'll contact me, or I'll reach out to them, 2-3 months later. Hey, how's everything going? Not obviously a private wellness client where you're working with them every 3 or 4 weeks. They're keeping in touch through email, but maybe they don't reach back out. So what's going on there? And then they're like, well, I stopped doing this, that, and the other thing. Well, why? And they're like, oh, I started to get bloated when I reintroduced this food. Okay, well, did you let anybody know that, right? Like, let your team know. They're there to help you. All we needed to do was tweak that. Like, oh yeah, this food's not going to work because of this, this, and this. Or, hey, let's try this one instead, and just get back on with the plan, right? And then what does that say? Does it reset your 12 weeks to getting better? Not really. Not really, but I have another little secret we'll say to let you in. That, yeah, you're going to get remarkably better in this 90 to 120 days, or 80 to 100 days, depending on which study you want to look at. But believe me, it's somewhere around 100 days, right? So like, great, that's about 12 weeks. So what I share with you is that you're going to get better within that time. Completely better? I don't know, because I don't know you and I don't know what you're going through, but remarkably better, because you're setting the stage now for healing. And then you're going to do this for another 12 weeks. That's what's going to happen then. You get to basically reset all of your 30 trillion cells, your erythrocytes or your red blood cells, right? So what does that mean? Well, they have better nutrients inside of them. Hopefully better mitochondrial health, right? So what are we looking at? Well, we're looking at, in terms of our B vitamins, more folate, more B12, better calcium, magnesium utilization, better fatty acid membranes. Why does that matter? Well, if you've been eating the standard American diet, you have too many what are called hard sterols, or omega-6s, that are inflammatory on those cells, or too many polyunsaturated fats, which create oxidation of those cells. Great. Guess what the good news is? They're all gone after 12 weeks. We get to replace them. Doesn't happen overnight. It happens daily. So that's why you sometimes feel daily progress, or just over time, like, oh, yeah, I'm starting to feel better, because it's gradual. It happens over time. It happens over those 12 weeks. So I share with you this. I believe that if most people knew that their body is literally turning over every 12 weeks, they would take different actions in order to get a new body every 12 weeks. Because if they don't, and you continue to do the things that have caused poor health, you're only going to get more of the same. Now, the nice thing is, the exact opposite is also true. If you start to do things that would move you towards better health, you will move towards better health. Because you are doing things that bring up the deficiencies in your body and start to remove those toxicities, right? You stop eating fried foods. You stop drinking as much alcohol. You start to get more sleep. You start to get more micronutrients, a daily activated multi or something like that into your body. You're doing things towards your health. More omega-3s, right? Reducing stress. What are you doing? Well, you're allowing the body to do what it already knows how to do, and that's heal, right? Whether you are a doctor of naturopathy like myself, you're an integrative health practitioner, or you're any doctor, any coach, I don't help anybody heal. I help share with them through at-home lab testing what their deficiencies and toxicities are. Then I give them the nutrients, following the de-stress protocol, help to remove the toxicities to put their body in position to heal. I don't help them heal. I put their body in position to heal itself. And that is exactly what you need to do. And again, this goes for any facet of your life. If you eat better, will you get healthier? Yes. If you exercise properly for your body, will you get healthier? Yes. If you have better sleep, will you get healthier? Yes. If you reduce stress, will you get healthier? Yes. Are you doing these things on a daily basis or working towards them? If the answer is most days of the week, then good. You're moving towards that. But the other thing is, if you're sacrificing sleep for work, if you're sacrificing sleep for extra exercise, if you're doing the exact opposite of the de-stress protocol, right? The diet, the exercise, the stress reduction, the toxin removal, the rest, the emotional balance, the scientifically backed supplements, and the success mindset. If you're doing the opposite, you're going to get the opposite, right? Negative thoughts lead to what? More negative outcomes. Positive thoughts lead to more positive outcomes. Why? You're looking for opportunity. Negative thoughts, you're looking for what? The negative consequences. You start to eat better foods, more proper foods. We didn't get better nutrients, right? You're going to bring better nutrients in the body, less inflammation. You eat more inflammatory foods, you get more inflammation. So if we stop doing these things, and again, we always look for the silver bullet or maybe even something more complicated than it needs to be. Health can be complicated. I'm not disagreeing with that. If health was simple, I would have got better faster, but it's not. But there is a formula for getting well. And the truth is, you can make a dramatic turnaround no matter where you are in your life within 12 weeks' time. The science backs it up. I've seen it in my own personal practice, and so have thousands of others of my colleagues. So I wanted to share that with you today because there is hope. You can heal. For you, for anyone else in your life, please, as I always say, do share this message with anyone you believe it could serve. Take care, everyone.